The story of the miller and his daughter. Many years ago there lived a miller who had a very beautiful and young daughter. The miller was looking to find a husband for his daughter and send her off to be married. But up until that day, no suitor had come for the young girl. The girl herself, however, was interested in a young woodcutter who worked hard in the forest every day and earned his money through honest labor. She wished to marry him. But the miller greatly disliked the boy and strongly opposed the idea of their marriage. He would always say, "I must give my daughter to a man who has immeasurable wealth and is richer than anyone else." This situation continued. The miller would reject all of his daughter's suitors, until one day an ugly and unpleasant-looking man came to his house. This man had a large golden carriage drawn by 4 horses and he wore expensive clothes. The buttons on his clothes were made of gold, and he appeared to be one of the richest men around. The miller was overjoyed at the sight of the wealthy man. He invited him into his home, served him syrup and sweets and asked, "May I know the reason for your visit?" The wealthy man gave an ugly smile and said, "I've heard that you have a very young and beautiful daughter. Is that true?" The miller joyfully said, "Yes, sir. I have a beautiful daughter who is still unmarried." The ugly man added, "I have come to ask for your daughter's hand in marriage. I have a lot of money and can take good care of her." The miller didn't know how to contain his joy. He had always wished in his heart to have a rich son-in-law, and now that such a wealthy man had come to marry his daughter, he was extremely happy. The miller turned to the ugly man and said, "Sir, I would be very happy to have a son-in-law like you." Without delay, the miller called for his daughter. She came and he said, "My daughter, this gentleman has come to propose to you. He is very wealthy." The beautiful girl looked at the unpleasant and harsh face of the rich man and said, "But father, you know that I love someone else." The miller angrily shouted, "There's no need for any more talk. I will never marry my daughter off to a poor boy who makes a living chopping wood." The young girl, her eyes filled with tears, left the room. The wealthy man turned to the miller and said, "You have made a good choice." The miller smiled and said, "Indeed." The wealthy man continued, "Well, now you should tell me, does she have a dowry or not? Because you know I am very wealthy, and if I marry a girl without a dowry, all my friends will mock me." The miller quickly replied, "Of course. I've prepared a good dowry for her, consisting of some money, gold, and jewelry." The man who claimed to be rich thought for a moment and said, "In that case, tomorrow, dress her in her best clothes, put her golden earrings in her ears, hang her jeweled necklace around her neck, and send her to my house in the middle of the forest. She should see my home, and if she likes it, we'll set up the wedding immediately." The miller happily agreed, and the ugly man said goodbye, got into his carriage and left. The next day, the miller called his daughter and told her that she needed to take her jewelry and wear her best clothes to go to the house of the rich man who lived in the forest. The beautiful girl cried and begged him. She said she disliked the man's face and did not want to be his wife or go to his house. But her father angrily shouted, "What I said is final. Now that we've found a rich suitor, we must not lose the opportunity." The beautiful girl unwillingly submitted to her father's wishes. She put on her golden earrings, wore the jeweled necklace around her neck, put on her finest clothes and set off toward the forest. She didn't know where exactly the rich man lived, nor where his house was. When she arrived in the forest, she walked past towering trees. The sounds of wild animals could be heard around her, and she trembled in fear. But she had no choice. She had to do what her father had asked. She loved her father very much and could never bring herself to disobey him. Finally, after an hour of walking, a large cottage in the distance caught her attention. The girl thought to herself, "That must be the ugly man's house. I should approach it." She walked toward the cottage. Before reaching it completely, she suddenly heard a strange voice. She stopped and looked around to find where the sound was coming from. The voice came again saying, "Turn back, beautiful bride. Go home quickly. Flee the thieves' hideout and hurry back home." The miller's daughter didn't know what to do. Frightened, she looked around in panic. Suddenly, she saw a golden lock hanging above the house. Inside the lock was a beautiful bird with green wings and a red body. The bird flapped its green wings and opened and closed its beak, saying, "Turn back, beautiful bride. Go home quickly. Flee the thieves' hideout and hurry back home." The girl stood still for a moment. She was afraid and didn't want to enter what she believed was her future husband's house, that ugly man. But what could she do? She couldn't ignore her father's wishes. The young girl said a prayer and placed her hand on the door. He pushed it open. It was unlocked. She stepped into the house and saw a dark hallway in front of her. There were many rooms along the hallway, but all were empty and silent. She kept moving forward and finally opened the last room's door. A dim lamp lit the room, and under its light sat a hunched old woman on a stool. The miller's daughter stepped forward and, her voice shaking with fear, asked, "Mother, can you tell me if this is the house of the rich man who's supposed to be my future husband?" The old woman looked up at her and gently said, "Poor girl, why have you come here? Don't you know the owner of this house is a thief and murderer? He and his wicked companions kill anyone who comes here." The girl said, But he came to our house and convinced my father to let me marry him because of his great wealth." The old woman shook her head and said, "Yes, he has lots of money. But he will never marry you. That evil man and his friends go to towns and villages, pretending to be rich suitors. They propose to girls whose families want wealthy sons-in-law. Then they bring those poor girls here, kill them and steal their jewelry." The miller's daughter cried out in horror, "Oh my God! So that's why he told my father to send me here with my jewelry and fancy clothes." The old woman quickly said, "Yes, my dear. He plans to kill you and take the jewelry you brought. But don't worry, I'll save you. I myself have been trapped here for some time, but because I'm old, I can't escape on my own." The young girl said, "Then let's run away right now." The old woman replied, "No, not yet. The thieves are on their way and will arrive any minute. If they see us escaping, they'll kill us both." The miller's daughter asked, "Then tell me, when should we go?" The old woman said, "We must wait until they fall asleep. Then we'll run away." She paused, then added, "But first I must hide you. They must not see you here." She then hid the young girl inside a wooden barrel in the corner of the room. An hour later, the thieves entered the house with the ugly man leading them. They had brought another young girl with them. She thought she had come to her husband's house, and believed the others were her brothers-in-law. The thieves sat in a large room and started eating. After they were full, one of them handed the girl a cup of drink. She drank it and suddenly collapsed, dead. The thieves gleefully gathered around her and took all her jewelry. But when one of them tried to remove the gold ring from her finger, the ring flew into the air and landed in the barrel, right onto the hidden daughter's face. One of the thieves picked up a lantern and went toward the barrel. But no matter how much he searched, he couldn't find the ring. The old woman, realizing that if he searched more he might find the girl, quickly said, "Don't tire yourself. Leave it to me. When the sun rises tomorrow, I'll find it." The other thieves called him back, and since they were very tired, they went to their rooms and fell asleep. Once the thieves were deep in sleep, the old woman brought the miller's daughter out of the barrel. They both quietly left the house and ran as fast as they could. By dawn, they had reached the miller's house. The miller was shocked to see his daughter with an old woman. The kind woman told him everything. When the miller realized what a terrible trap his daughter had escaped, he was overjoyed. He thanked the old woman profusely. Soon, the news of the thieves' terrible deeds spread throughout the town. Villagers who had lost their daughters, not knowing what had happened to them, angrily marched into the forest. They attacked the thieves' house, captured them, and handed them over to the judge. The judge imprisoned the thieves and distributed all the stolen money and jewelry among the people. As for the miller, grateful for his daughter's safety, he allowed her to marry the young woodcutter. He had always loved him. A grand celebration was held and the young couple got married. They lived happily together with the miller, who had now learned that wealth doesn't make someone good, and that money doesn't bring happiness.